Disney coming to North Carolina. Stick around, you don't want to miss it.
All right, so Disney announced a brand new community coming to North Carolina called Asteria. And in this video, we're gonna go over where that neighborhood is located, what that neighborhood will look like, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about the greater development that neighborhood will be a part of called Chatham Park. So as far as where it's located, it's gonna be located in Chatham County, which is to the west of Raleigh. So places that are in Chatham County, part of Chapel Hill's in Chatham County, Pittsboro, Siler City, those are gonna be your main towns within Chatham County.
Yeah, it's kind of in between like Chapel Hill and Apex when you're talking about Pittsboro itself, which is where Chatham Park is located.
Yeah, so it is a rapidly growing part of the triangle. Several big announcements have occurred in Chatham County over the last several years. VinFast, which is a Vietnamese electric vehicle company, is moving a manufacturing plant here. Wolfspeed, which manufactures semiconductors, is moving a plant here. All in all, it's about $9 billion worth of investment, 9,000 employees for those two companies coming into the area. So this area is exploding, which is part of the reason why Disney probably considered it.
Right, and it's a beautiful area too. So if Disney's looking to be in an area that's growing, but is also appealing to a lot of people trying to find somewhere just like very family oriented, very just green space and a lot of beauty surrounding it. I can't think of many places in the triangle that are more prettier than Pittsboro.
Yeah.
So what will Asteria be like? What will it look like? There's not a ton of information released from Disney yet on that, but we do know at least the size of it. It's gonna be massive.
Absolutely massive.
Really big. There's gonna be about 4,000 different residences there, and that's gonna be kind of a mixture of townhomes, single family. There'll be a 55 and up section, and it's about 1,500 acres, which is just gigantic.
Yeah, so to put that in perspective, for those of you who live in the area and who've ever been to Wendell Falls, that is from a unit size, that is the same size as Wendell Falls. Wendell Falls is about 4,000 units. From an acreage size, it is significantly bigger. Wendell Falls is about 1,100 acres. This is going to be 1,500 acres.
Right.
So this is going to be a massive community.
Right, and how that acreage is laid out, that's not anything we know at this point. If you go into Wendell Falls, the homes are pretty close together, so I don't know if it's going to be similar. Maybe their yards will be a little bigger, or maybe it'll still be pretty close together, but just have a lot more amenity space and green space, which would be kind of the feeling I would get, because when you go to Disney and you're thinking more of like the resorts and stuff, the amenities that they offer, they're probably going to want to bring something similar here and focus more on that amenity space versus yard space.
Yeah, and there will be a lot of amenities within the neighborhood. There will apparently be a restaurant, wellness center, pools, trails. So there's going to be a lot of amenities that will be a part of that neighborhood as well.
Yeah, and speaking of the restaurant, they kind of sound like there's going to be like maybe some character dining experiences, which is awesome. Maybe some Mickey waffles, I don't know. Looks like it'll be a lot of fun, and some other experiences that they'll have like paid Disney cast members being a part of. Like they talked about like maybe the artists coming in and doing, I don't know if it's like tutorials or something like that for families to be a part of, and different types of events throughout the year that just look really cool. And I don't know if those will kind of be you have to live in the neighborhood to be able to pay and partake in some of those, or if maybe the outside community would be able to join in on a ticketed cost. I don't really know. There's not a ton of info yet about what that'll look like, but what is there in the concept art is really cool.
All right, so what will prices look like for this neighborhood? Honestly, we have no idea. Construction isn't expected to start until 2027, which is obviously a long way out.
Yeah.
But this portion of, or this Disney section is within Chatham Park, which is a larger subdivision, a huge subdivision, which we'll dig into in a second. Average price points here are mid to upper fives. And so, Disney's building a neighborhood out in California. Looks like prices start 1 million up. I don't think we'll necessarily see that here.
Right.
A $1 million
maybe
house.
Some phases of it, because I bet it's going to have a lot of different phases.
I'm sure there's floor plans that will cost that, but a $1 million house in North Carolina is significantly different than a $1 million house in California.
Right.
And so I don't think those prices will be in line. What could be in line is when you look at the essentially the HOA costs, or the club membership they call it. So in the neighborhood in California that Disney's developing, it's a $25,000 initiation fee and then $11,000 every year after that. You could probably—
that character dining better be included.
I could see something similar here for club membership, because that's really the cost of like when you're looking at joining a private golf club.
Right.
It's essentially what you're looking at. And so this neighborhood's probably going to be modeled something, roughly similar to
Right.
that. So I could see those costs kind of lining up.
Right, yeah, that'll be interesting. And like Zach mentioned, Chatham Park in general is just huge. Like when you kind of learn about it, originally was scaled to be a 40-year project. They've kind of trimmed it back to, I think, maybe 25 now.
Yeah.
But we're already 10 years into the development here, which might be surprising because most of the houses aren't that far. But there's been a lot of land development and commercial development in the last 10 years. Within Chatham Park, you have a big, large commercial space called Mosaic. There's a bunch of restaurants in there already, and just mixed-use space and apartments and things like that, and a lot more still to come in the Mosaic area. And then within the neighborhood itself, they think there's going to end up being about 60,000 residents in Chatham Park, which is mind-blowing, about 22,000 units. So, obviously each unit will have more than one person living in it. But that's a lot of people, because currently the population in the last census in Chatham County was only about 79,000. So we're talking about doubling the population with just this neighborhood. You have other development happening in Chatham County too. So it's really going to change the entire landscape of Pittsboro and Chatham County as a whole.
And as far as like the land mass of Chatham Park, 8,500 acres. That's mind blowing. So I looked up Manhattan. How big is the island of Manhattan? 21,000 acres. This is this is 8,500 acres. Like that, that's just, for it to be one subdivision that large is just mind blowing. So, Cindy mentioned the commercial development. There's going to be roughly 2 million square feet of commercial development. To put that in perspective, especially for those of you who live in the area, South Point Mall is about 1.3 million square feet. So, that's significantly more. The Fenton has about 2.5 million square feet of commercial space. This subdivision is going to have 2 million worth of.
Just for a subdivision.
Yeah. It's just mind blowing. This place is absolutely massive. I know we hate price points. Price points in here average mid to upper fives when it comes to single family residences. When Disney adds into this neighborhood, it's going to be a part of a much, much, much larger development that's in Chatham County. So, and what I don't think we didn't really hit on this. We talked about what it would look like. What I don't think this neighborhood is going to look like. We had a friend who was like, "Is Mickey going to be like creepily like staring at me when I wake up in the morning, like open my front door?"
He's like the It Clown, like in the sewer, but it's Mickey.
Yeah, I don't think that is going to be the case. I think it's just going to be a neighborhood kind of like what we see right now in Chatham Park. Maybe a little more on like concierge type services,
right?
But probably not a lot different than what you already see right now.
Right, and when you really go to like Disney World and you're staying on site at the Disney World resorts, they have their Disney flair, but they're not really, you don't see Mickey everywhere, even like within the resorts. Like they have really beautiful theming, and they feel kind of, it's all integrated, but it feels separate from the park. So I don't think there's going to be like castles and fireworks and, Mickey everywhere, I think
that would get old really fast.
Yeah, it would be, and kind of weird. It'd be kind of strange. So I think what they're doing is taking like that Imagineering and just making something like really high level, really nice, but not necessarily gonna be, it's a Small World playing over the speakers of the neighborhood or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, we've been filming this video in Chatham Park the entire time. So if you're curious what Chatham Park looks like, the trail systems, 30 miles worth of trails when it's complete, like it's going to be, it's a really cool neighborhood. It's
like its own city, really. I mean, and like we mentioned, if you have seen Wendell Falls, I feel like Chatham Park's like that, but honestly on steroids. And I didn't think you could really make a neighborhood bigger than Wendell Falls.
Apparently you can.
Apparently you can. So just really going to be a really cool place to live. I think neighborhoods like this are changing what it's like to live in North Carolina and what it's like to live in the Triangle, because we see more and more neighborhoods happening that have this kind of feel to it where, though you might not have a big yard, there's just a big focus on like being able to walk places, the things that, people really want. We have so many people that want to be able to walk to a coffee shop or walk to school, and things like places like this are making that a reality, though, you might have to deal with things maybe feeling a little more cookie cutter or not having a large yard. You get a lot in return as far as like walkability goes, especially when you're living in an area that's not urban. I think it brings like the benefits of urban living without being as overpopulated and not having any green space. So it's a good mix.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments what you think of this, because it's so fascinating. I mean, we did an Instagram story on it. Comments were incredibly positive. I saw it on Facebook. Comments were overwhelmingly negative, and I
feel
would
like
just,
that's
I
the
would
difference
love,
between the two platforms, though. Like,
Maybe
I
so.
don't think anyone's ever been positive on Facebook, like ever.
But I would love to know what y'all's thoughts are. Do you think it's creepy? Do you think it's cool? Do you think it's a big deal? I think it's a big deal. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. But I'm Zach, this is my beautiful wife, Cindy. We're a couple real estate agents in the area. If you are looking to buy or sell, we'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. You can find our contact info below, and you also find us on Instagram.
Yep, we'd love to have you follow along with us on Instagram at the Honeycutt Realtors or our website, honeycutteam.com. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Yep.
Let's see. Do my Mickey Disney Channel, you know? Zach said I'm not allowed to do this.